the film Sinners is out, a lot of people have been thinking about vampires, and even though I've not seen the film yet, vampires are also on my mind, mainly this one vampire called Abdullah from the show Count Abdullah. Count Abdullah is a British horror comedy show that came out in 2023, and it tells the story of this Pakistani Muslim doctor who gets turned into a vampire after crossing paths with a halal hunting vampire. As someone who loves vampire in media, when I saw the words halal hunting vampire, I had tears in my eyes because of how funny this was. These are words that I never thought I would see in a sentence together. So in this video today, I want to talk about the characters from the show Count Abdullah. The first character we meet in this show is Kathy. She is a halal hunting vampire, and she mainly drinks from Muslim people and she drinks from South Asian people. So we see her in the opening scene. There's these two guys that are locking up the mosque and they're going home, and she's stalking them, and one of the guys is scared because he thinks there's going to be like monsters out there. And then she says, well, vampires must really love Muslim people because she's tried Christian blood, she's tried atheist blood, she's tried Jewish blood, and she's even tried Buddhist blood, but Muslim blood is the best because to her it just tastes the best. And when the guys run away, she says, isn't this the month of Ramadan? Isn't this the month of charity? So this is the best time for you to donate blood. She attacks these guys, and what was really interesting about her is usually vampires bite people, but she pulled out a syringe and a needle and she took blood from them that way. Kathy, a halal hunting vampire, even though she says she drinks from Muslim people and South Asian people because their blood tastes the best, right? Because there's no drugs or alcohol in the system, she's a liar. She does that because she has a fetish for South Asian people. The next character we meet is Abdullah. He's our main character. He's a junior doctor and he loves horror. His whole story, everything starts to happen to him because he decided to skip an Eid party to go to a Halloween party. When the story is taking place in this show, Eid and Halloween are on the same day. And if you don't know what Eid is, it's a celebration that Muslim people have at the end of Ramadan. Every single person is really excited for this. I don't think there's going to be a Muslim person skipping Eid for a Halloween party, but here's Abdullah because that's what he does. Because Abdullah skipped out in this Eid party that him and his mum were invited to, he goes upstairs and puts on a Count Dracula Halloween costume, jumps out the window and goes to this Halloween party that's being hosted by his colleague who he has a crush on, right? But then he ends up leaving because he finds out that she has a boyfriend. He's at this bus stop and then he crosses paths with Kathy. And you know, she has a thing for South Asian people, but she's already annoyed about the fact that he's dressed up as a vampire because this is a cultural appropriation. So she attacks him. But instead of using her needle and syringe, she bites him on the neck, leading to him being turned into a vampire. For Abdullah's character, the moment I knew what kind of Muslim representation this was going to be is when he's at work and he finds out it's Eid and he tells his colleagues, and the girl who's hosting the Halloween party says, oh, you're going to skip my Halloween party for Eid? Like, you're a grown man, you need to stop living for other people. Every single person knows that you're not a good Muslim anyway, so what's going on? And then he's all conflicted about the fact that he wants to go to this Halloween party, but he has to celebrate Eid with his family. And then also people keep bringing up the fact that he never goes to mosque. Like, is it kind of running joke? Oh, well, we don't really see you at the mosque, you never go to mosque anyway. And then also when he goes to his cousin's house for the Eid party, he walks in the house with his shoes on. Your shoes on? Come on now. Abdullah and Kathy are the main vampire characters of this show, but there's other vampires in this show, and these vampires belong to His Majesty's vampire coven, and these people are freaking racist as hell. The vampires in this world are only allowed to change one person, and when they bite someone, there's a 1% chance that the vampire virus is going to transfer into their bloodstream, changing them. But Kathy has already changed one person previously, making Abdullah her second one. So the vampire coven give her this ultimatum. They say, you either get rid of Abdullah, killing him, or we're going to kill both of you. And they say the main reason they want to get rid of him is because he's Pakistani and they need to clean the bloodline, the brotherhood of impurities. That was crazy. The other vampires are all part of this coven and they're a very close group and they don't want outsiders being in their group. Kathy, on the other hand, she's not rich, she's not well off, she lives on benefits and she works part-time as a dominatrix. Also, the vampires in this world, when a vampire bites someone and they turn, they can only claim one person as their progeny, and the way that they do that is by cutting their wrist and they bathe them in their blood, and then that is how they fully get accepted into the group. But because Kathy has already done that, there's no one that can do that for Abdullah until later on we get introduced to the first guy that she turned, which turns out to be Abdullah's dad, and then the show kind of just ends there. When Abdullah and Kathy go to this expensive vampire bar, they say to Abdullah, oh, We usually serve your kind with a slice of lemon and you're asking me for a table for two right now. Next characters we meet in this show is this character called Shafi. He is Abdullah's cousin, and him and his Lost Bhais, which basically means brothers, the Lost Brothers, they are the vampire hunters. They know that there's vampires because their friends were the ones that got attacked at the start. At the start they thought it was a Islamophobic attack and they were protesting against this, and then they found out there's vampires. They decide they are going to hunt down the vampire, and they find out the vampire's Kathy, and they try to do their own little vampire hunting group, and then later on Abdullah ends up attacking Shafi at a wedding, right? I think they could have had so much potential. They're just like not very smart people. They're not very smart guys. They just go around just making things up as they go. They forget their weapons sometimes. They were a funny group. The reason why I'm thinking about this show today is because of how much potential this show could have had. They are telling me that the plot line is going to be following a Muslim Pakistani man who gets turned into a vampire by a vampire who only targets South Asian and Muslim people. Like, the plot sounded really good. I was really hooked by that plot description. But as I was watching the show and I was just seeing the kind of like characters that were there and the kind of topics that they were discussing, I was just kind of disappointed in the end. The show focused so much on relationships and sleeping with someone. I feel like if they didn't do that, right, and they focused on the fact that there is a vampire that is going around targeting Muslim people, the fact that the vampire society is quite racist, right, the fact that these guys found out that there is a vampire in the community that's targeting them, and they formed their little group and they tried to get rid of her and get rid of the vampires, but then they're struggling, stuff like that. That would have been really interesting. We could have focused on Abdullah's dad and his mum. What happened there? How did he become a vampire? But no, a lot of the times we're just like making jokes about him not being that good of a Muslim, the fact that he liked his co-worker. Like, I feel like when it comes to Muslim representation in media, right, a lot of the times every single character has the same way of thinking. Like, every single person in this show is okay with like dating people, is okay with like sleeping with people, like smoking, drinking. Even his mom says to him, are you drinking? You're becoming like a white person. Like, they're okay with stuff like this. Like, it's not about becoming like a white person. This is against your religion, bro. Not every single Muslim person is perfect, right? Some people drink, some people date and all that stuff. But when it comes to Muslim representation on TV, like, you can have a character that does stuff like that and they're struggling with their religion, right? Like Abdullah, there's one scene where we see him praying because he felt like he was struggling and that he's not a good Muslim. But if every single person, every single Muslim character that you're writing has the same mindset and they're okay with things like drinking and getting high and stuff like that, then in that moment, I don't know, like, who the target audience is. I don't know. And then also in a show about Muslim characters, there was only one hijabi character, and with Abdullah, for his happy ending is he gets with the girl that he worked with and he had a crush on her. They ended up kissing like a couple of times and I was like, damn, okay. I feel like if the show wasn't a comedy and it was a drama and it focused on all the different aspects that were going on, then it would have been a 10 out of 10. But because it was a comedy, they had to spend a lot of the times making jokes about like how he's not a good Muslim, what he's doing, sleeping around, all that stuff, right? And I just felt like it really took the story away from me. I was really excited to see how they're going to approach this topic of this guy becoming a vampire and he's Muslim and they're being like targeted by a vampire who only drinks from Muslim people's bloods. But that didn't happen. There were some good points, but that didn't happen. Ever since I watched this show, I think about it at least once a month because of how much potential that was there. But because it went down a different road, it just didn't hit as much as I thought it was going to. But yeah, that is everything that I wanted to say for this video. If you have watched this show, what did you think about it? Maybe your opinion is different to mine. I would like to know. And until then, I'll see you in my next video.